Look, since we're opening with straight up complaint department, let me just.
It was a loss. I mean, I think we should. I mean, this is organic conversation. This is real, I think.
Right. Hey, that's what we do, baby. That's what we do. That's why we're here. By the way, like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you. We are going to calm everyone down. By the way, football clearly is not for everyone. I mean, the amount of people who are ready to flush the season after a 1-1 start is comically absurd. And shame on that sector of 49ers fans who is so easily rattled that they're ready to just walk away from the team after a loss in week 2. But I will say this. I do think Brock Purdy is catching too much heat. Shanahan historically has caught too much heat from this fan base. But what I do not understand, and what it is now time to officially bring up and press this team about in its press conferences, is there is not a single team in football. I don't think there's a single team, certainly in the NFL. I don't think there's a single team in college. And I'll take it even a step, get your shit together, 49ers, a step further. I don't know if there is a high school team in America who over an 8-year period has turned the concept of simply returning a punt or a kickoff into the biggest chore that the 49ers have turned it into. Why is the 49ers special teams kick and punt return the hardest fucking treasure to find in the Caribbean? For them, every single team in football solves their punt and kickoff return by turning to their least valuable wide receiver and say, hey, slapdick, you just do it. And nothing bad goes wrong. Nothing bad goes wrong when the least valuable wide receiver on your roster is on special teams. For the 49ers, it is a colossal, epic struggle with some titan of a boogeyman monster that they just cannot put down for a singular week in 8 fucking years of Kyle Shanahan. What is going on? What is going on? How is it for the San Francisco 49ers fielding a punt is the equivalent of summiting Mount Everest? Explain that to me.
Well, they had every kind of punt returner they wanted this summer in camp. So if they didn't pick the right one, it's on them. But they had everything. They had everything they wanted. They had the sure-handed guy who's not that fast. They had the super fast little guy that's very fast, but he's a little guy. They went with him. Jacob Cowing. I think Jacob Cowing is going to be good over time. He had one of the worst muffed punts I've seen. Not only did he muff it, it hit him right in the chest, and it ricocheted so far away from him that I don't think he got a finger on it again until it got knocked around 3 or 4 more times. Was it Yadam that picked that one up, or did Cowing himself?
Yadam
got that one.
Saved Cowing's bacon on that play.
Yadam was huge in this game.
Here's the thing. Brian Schneider, you've been the special teams coach since 2002. I ain't impressed. If I had to argue why you
he's not
hired, I couldn't. What?
No. Richard Hightower, you said he's been the special teams coach since 2002. Richard Hightower was the special teams coach just like a year ago.
Whatever.
Last year was his first year with the Niners.
So he's in his first year? I'd fire him
He's
already.
In his second year. He's in his second year. But he's been in the league for years with Seattle, and he was billed as the solution that, to their special teams, and they've changed it all out. They've changed out the coordinator. They've dedicated money to it. George Odom and others. They went a 3rd round kicker and a 4th round punter. I mean, you could make an argument the 49ers have poured the most resources of any team into special teams, and it has not worked.
Kicking the ball. And I'm going to say this.
Third round pick.
They got a day, and I'll say this after the day they punt the ball. Punting the ball, kicking the ball is not the special teams problem. Catching the ball or running with it forward seems
coverage.
To be,
I mean, the coverage has been bad.
The single biggest impossible to solve math equation where literally every other team in the NFL just doesn't even worry about it. I mean, almost doesn't even worry about it. Like, it might not be an elite unit. We might not be getting great field position. We might not be getting great returns. But what we don't do is step on our own dicks to the point where we're constantly, like, let's have 7 different guys do it in the same game. It's
like, get it right. It's like, I don't even care. I don't even want to hear about the details of your special teams plan. I really don't even care. Just stop screwing it up. Because right now you're losing games on special teams, and stop losing games.
Debo takes it out of the end zone in a lackadaisical fashion. You get Renardo Green called for holding, so now you're 10 yards back. Then the very next play, you got Trent Williams getting called for a holding, and now you're sitting way back on your, you made bad starting field position even worse before you snap the ball. I don't understand why.
Super here from JP. He says special teams again is trash. Beat up in the trenches. Yeah, special teams is not good.
And you don't deserve to complain about losing a football game when you get your ass kicked on the line of scrimmage. And
where's Hargrave? Where was Collins? Where was the Niner defensive interior that should have dominated? I watched Dexter Lawrence and the New York Giants interior absolutely lay waste to Ed Ingram and Brandell and Garrett Bradbury in the opener, only to see, massive money Hargrave and free agent acquisition Collins just do relatively little. Those two guys on paper should have wrecked shop inside, crushed Sam Darnold in the A gap, and pressured him in his face all day long and didn't do any of it. They didn't do any of that. They got none of that done.
Here's the thing, Larry, you can't have the nickname Gravedigger when you dig no graves. Okay, you cannot be the grave digger when you the guy digs no graves. He hasn't even brought a shovel to work most of his days. Javon Hargrave had one more tackle than the 49ers starting quarterback had yesterday. He didn't do anything. I also thought that, here's a guy who plays pretty much without criticism because he's done a really good job since the day he's shown up. I think that's Mooney Ward's worst game with the 49ers since showing up with the 49ers. He got lost in space multiple times. The backfield communication was off all day, and the team was out of sync all day, and they went into the locker room, and they didn't put it together back in the locker room. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall yesterday. He really did.
Let's talk about the things that really matter here. They got gashed for 8.2 yards a carry by Ty Chandler. Minnesota ran for 146 yards in this game, 6.1 a carry. Okay. First of all, I'll say this. Let's give credit where credit's due. Minnesota has a really good coaching staff. Flores and his defensive coaches, they're really, really good. Kevin O'Connell and the offensive staff, really, really solid. I really believe, Damon, this is one of the better coached NFL teams that the Niners will face. This is also a very tough place for the 49ers to play for whatever reason. But at the same time, where's the run D? Where's the run defense? You have not been able to stop the run. If you can't stop the run, it's going to be a long day at the office. Now, we'll get more into this later in the week, but up next for the 49ers are the Los Angeles Rams, right? And the Rams in the first 2 games, Damon, have just been absolutely atrocious against the run. Detroit gashed them for 5.3 a carry, and then Arizona just gashed them for 5.8 a carry. They ran for 231 yards yesterday. James Conner ran for 120 by himself. So this is the game where the Niners ought to fully commit to like a 60-40 run pass. But Damon, after that first game against the Jets where the Niners just ran it all over the Jets, unless Mason wasn't healthy, why wouldn't you just come out and run it right down Minnesota's throat and make them stop it? Instead, you get a 100-yard day out of Mason. He still goes for 5 yards a carry, but you don't really commit to the run enough, and you wind up passing against a team that, obviously you couldn't block because you give up 6 sacks. So I guess I don't understand when you have a running back that's working, you have a running game that's working, why would you then drop back and try to put the ball in the air when you can't? Your O-line doesn't pass block particularly well, and your receivers are not in midseason form, and they're not getting any separation. To me, I don't understand Shanahan's game plan yesterday. It should have been a 60-40 run-pass kind of a game plan, or 50-50. Instead, they were right there in the game, the entire game, and it was 60-40 pass run. I don't get it.
Another thing I don't get, and this is just like Kyle, how can you be on many levels a running back, running game guru, and then take the guy that you drafted to be a part of this and just rob him of confidence, opportunity, and the Isaac Guerrero, you get one carry and then you get doghouse? Like, what is that? I don't understand. Why is Guerrero up before Patrick Taylor? Why is Patrick Taylor?
I don't get that either.
I didn't understand that. And let me just, one more thing, complaining about the running game. For Deebo Samuel, it's over as a runner. The NFL is so on Deebo Samuel coming out of the backfield that he doesn't do shit with it no more. I mean, the NFL is all over Deebo touching the ball out of the backfield. It is sneaking up on no one. And to use him as anything other than a decoy is to probably lose yards on a play right now. I mean, the league is just all over Kyle and the Deebo connection as a runner. At least Deebo had a good day catching the ball yesterday. I mean, he was there are 3 49ers that you can walk away and say, you did your job today. Deebo's one of them. Jordan Mason is one of them. And obviously, Fred Warner is the chief among them. Had Fred Warner not been able to play in that game, you are losing it by 2 more touchdowns. He was spectacular. Truly, truly an awesome Fred Warner game that will get lost in the sauce of the memory of this year. It was a disappointing day. It was a disappointing day because the Niners failed to do the things that we expect them to do well over and over again. And, Shanahan, if nothing, is consistent in the way he wins and in the way he loses. And it felt like this one just really kind of got away from them. And, they never led once. And that plays right into the Niners are great front runners. They're bad at coming from behind narrative, which really isn't a narrative as much as it is just, that's kind of who they are.
Well, it's like Shanahan doesn't look the same as a play caller when he's calling the game when he's losing. He just doesn't. He looks impatient. He looks like he wants to get everything back all at once. The other thing that jumped out in this game, Damon, is that last season the Niner defense allowed opposing offenses to convert 40.9% of their thirds into firsts, and that was not good. And that's part of the reasons that Steve Wilks is not here anymore, right? That was 24th in the NFL. And in some ways, it's pretty freaking amazing that last year's 49ers reached the Super Bowl with a defense that was 24th in third down conversions defensively. You're 24th in the league. You can't get off the field to save your life, but you made it to the Super Bowl. That's pretty incredible. But then that problem reared its ugly head again in this game where, if you say the number one reason the Niners lost to the Vikings, third down. I mean, third down is the money down. The Niners went 2 for 10 and the Vikings went 7 for 12. 7 for 12. So, I mean, that's so not good enough. And I understand that people want to blame Purdy, but Purdy at the end of the day is still 18-5 in 23 career starts. And he's still against all these exotic blitzes with his weapons that held out and his star teammates that weren't there. It's like I thought he played all right. I mean, 319 yards against this Viking defense, despite being sacked 6 times, throwing balls into the tightest of windows to receivers who are not catching them. I mean, I'll say this for Deebo or for Ayuk. He got paid, but right now he looks like the 3rd best wide receiver on the team and the 4th best receiver overall. Ayuk doesn't look as good as Deebo. He doesn't look as good as Jennings. He doesn't look as good as Kittle. Last year, he was their best weapon.